Welcome to this segment, the June segment of the Blue Seat. We are excited not only to have our guest, Cecka Green, who I will introduce in a minute, but we also have a great producer in line. You may have seen his face on our social media, but Robert is serving as our summer intern and our producer for the Blue Seats. So we're excited to have Robert in the background. We also are very pumped up about our subject matter because it's so relevant during this time as we talk about the love and the passion that we have for our children during the COVID-19 epidemic. So for our June Blue Seat, we have Cecka Green. She's the Regional Executive Director for the Big Bend, Tallahassee area, Children's Home Society of Florida, which is a mouthful, Cecka. So welcome, Cecka Green.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Felina. I am so just honored to be here and to have a little conversation with you.
Yes, that is fantastic, and so am I. Just in case you're not aware of Cecka Green, she is a diehard FAMU grad. Go Rattlers!
Go Rattlers! Go Rattlers!
Yes, and in case you haven't heard, this is one thing I was excited to learn about you, that you earned your certificate in public management, certified public manager certificate, actually, from FSU.
I did.
And I thought that was very fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting because I call myself a semi-no.
Oh.
Part no. But growing up in Tallahassee, while I am a diehard Rattler, I also have love for Florida State, absolutely. And so I earned my certified public management, CPM, from the Ruben Askew School of Government at Florida State University. And so I like to call myself a semi-no.
Oh, that's cute. All right. That's like something we could put on a t-shirt, Cecka.
Actually, I have it on a t-shirt, believe it or not. I do. I think it's the only t-shirt that exists. And I love to wear it during football season. So I'll have to be sure to wear that so you can see it.
Well, I'm not surprised. Well, some people may know you because of your 10 years at the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, just in case you weren't aware of that. And Cecka has committed 6 years to FAMU as far as being on the staff. And then now with your new role with Children's Home Society, it's been a year and a half, roughly, right? About a year and a half.
Let's see, February made a year.
February made a year.
Not quite 18 months, but it has been absolutely awesome. It actually is my first stint in executive management, as far as being an executive director. And I often joke because when I decided to make the leap from communications and public relations to executive management, which you know very well, Felina, I figured I would look for a smaller nonprofit, a smaller group to kind of cut my teeth, if you will. And I guess God and the universe had something different for me. And so I am with Children's Home Society here in the Big Bend. Absolutely love it. We run programs totaling about $6.8 million in revenue to run those programs. And so it has been a great learning opportunity, an awesome way to serve this community and the children and family that live here.
That's fantastic. I wanted to ask you, so far with this 1 year in, what's been like the biggest challenge that you faced so far?
Wow. So the biggest challenge, I think, is for all nonprofits, particularly human service nonprofits, is budgeting. And revenue and philanthropy are probably the biggest challenges. I will say we have a great local board of directors, our local advisory board of directors, and they are led by Lindsay Elliott, who is the board chair. And their really sole job is to help us look for philanthropic opportunities, help us bring in money to fill the gaps, if you will, for funding for the programs, so that we can continue the good work that we're doing. I think this is a great time to say that even during this very interesting and challenging time, Children's Home Society statewide has continued operations. So every program that we run statewide in our 10 regions has continued to operate. And that is because we have funders who are dedicated. The state stayed dedicated and didn't pull any funding at all. And we have those who have donated to help keep us moving, because they understand if there hasn't been any other time where caring for our children and families has been important during this pandemic season in our life, definitely it has been important. And we're very proud that we've been able to continue serving that population.
Fantastic. I mean, actually, that's part of our subject matter for this segment of the Blue Seat is basically how can collaboration among children's advocacy organizations shape our future? And we often hear that children are our future, no doubt.
Yeah.
We look at all the various organizations, youth-related organizations that serve the needs of children. And collaboration is definitely the critical word that I want us to focus on during this segment. And so I'm looking at assuming your network with other child-related organizations is vast. I mean, you just mentioned you've got 10 children's home societies across the state. But what are you hearing from your peers as being like the greatest need in your segment right now?
Well, I will tell you, so I used to serve on the Citizens Review team for the Community Human Services Partnership, and that's the partnership between the City of Tallahassee and Leon County. And they use that partnership to award grant monies for various programs in human services. And so I think first and foremost, you have to look at basic needs. And we know that our food banks here, Second Harvest, many of the churches, other organizations, and even private entities have really helped to bridge that gap of being able to feed our children and families who have been adversely affected by the pandemic. The next thing for us would be continuing our program Independency, and that's foster care, adoptions, and independent living. And as you can imagine, it is a huge commitment for any family to say that I will take in a child that unfortunately has to be removed from their home. And so we've been trying to ensure that those services are continuing to move forward. We've been very fortunate that the Department of Children and Families is a huge partner. I mean, that is how foster care and special needs adoptions and independent living is funded. And they made the commitment to help our community-based care organization go to telehealth, so we can now do many of our visits virtually through telehealth. And then in our other programs, behavioral health, we've also been able to use telehealth, and that is actually through our home office in Orlando. And if you look up, I guess this is to my right, your left, I don't know. You'll see that Children's Home Society has a warm line, because one of the things that we can't, right, there you go. No, there we go. We can't forget is that social distancing does not mean isolation. And a lot of times that is what comes from social distancing. And so Children's Home Society thought it best to develop a 24/7 warm line. And what we are able to do is by calling the number there, 888-733-6303, we can connect you with some counseling services to help get through this very, very crazy time. And so I think when you talk about what is the biggest need, I think the biggest need are basic needs. So let's make sure that we're fed. Let's make sure our children have shelter over their head. Make sure that they are safe. And then the next thing is ensuring that mentally and emotionally they are okay. And that is where we have put a lot of our focus over the last 10 or so weeks.
Well, you've mentioned some collaborations that CHS has already and with DCF as a good example, Department of Children and Families. And then you mentioned the city and county and how you've served in that role with that particular citizens work group. What other collaborations does CHS have? And more importantly, if someone who's watching this is interested in partnering and collaborating with CHS, what would be the next step for them to take to do that?
So, goodness, the partnerships are so vast, from a national level to a state level, and then, of course, locally. So the Florida Coalition of Children is a huge partner of not only CHS, but other child placing agencies and child welfare and well-being agencies across the state. Here locally, we are also partnered with the Early Learning Coalition. Many of our children do qualify for subsidized childcare. And so the Early Learning Coalition is one of those organizations that does that. Whole Child Leon is another group that we are closely tied with. They help do screenings to refer children to our Early Steps program, which is a program that helps children and families that are dealing with developmental disabilities or the chance that their child could have a developmental disability. So we partnered with them as well. We do referrals, like I said, to Second Harvest when it comes to food. So the partnerships are definitely vast. I think ultimately we all want to ensure that our children are well taken care of and well served, and that we truly support them, because they are going to be the future, just like we were once children and we were poured into and we were given support. We want to make sure that we do that with the children here in Tallahassee's community, Tallahassee, Leon County.
And, you know, that's one thing that attracted me to this particular segment of the nonprofit sector, is that I have seen a lot of great collaborative relationships with the child advocacy, youth services organizations, that out of all the different subsectors of nonprofits, you seem to have a great system in place of working with one another and not stepping on each other's toes or anything. Everyone has like their own role that is helping with the development and the livelihood of our children. Are there any things that you would say? I mean, you've been in a year and a half for your role. What would you see as maybe some opportunities, Cecka, for all of the child, advocacy organizations, youth services organizations? What opportunities do you see that would help with the future, and how would you see that?
You know, we have a fabulous governmental relations vice president, and she's done a very awesome job in helping to connect as many of our organizations as possible. I think if I had to give one sentiment, being a parent myself, my husband and I have 3 beautiful children who were actually adopted through the state of Florida, and so I know that very well. We have to understand that child welfare and child well-being should never be a partisan issue. It is necessary to take care of all of our children, irrespective of religion, orientation, gender identity, Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Independent. It doesn't matter. One thing that we know is true is that all children need support. All children. And we must put our time and our treasures into what we say is important. So if we believe that children are our future, isn't that how the song goes? I believe the children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. And that is really what Children's Home Society works to do on a daily basis, in partnership with all these other organizations, Capital Area Community Action Agency that does Head Start. So if we say our children are our future, then that is where our time, our talent, and our money should go, period.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that other things can't be important. I guess what I would ask is that understanding that everything in this world has to be done by humans, everything. And if we don't pour in to the little humans, they will become big humans that are not contributing members of our society. We talk about how in our lives, we go along a track, right? So we have this trajectory for our life. And it's moving in a straight line until we have a significant emotional event that impacts it. And we all have them, every one of us. And so what we want to be is that positive, significant emotional event that makes sure a child moves into their right trajectory in life. At Children's Home Society, we have objectives, kind of pillars. And our business uses these pillars to determine whether it is something that is going to be good for a child. And so Ready to Grow. We want to make sure that our children are growing and developing in a way that will make them successful. Ready to Learn. We want to make sure that they are in a posture where we have taken away everything that takes their mind off of learning every day. Our community partnership school at Sable Palm is a great example. Ready for Career or College. So we know that not everybody goes to college, nor should everybody go to college. We know that vocations can be just as satisfying and in some cases even more lucrative than a college degree. So ready for college or career, and then ready to parent. So when all of these things are in place, now you're ready to become a parent. And a parent has a child that pours into them those same pillars. So it's an oval that goes around in a circle. And what Children's Home Society wants to be able to do is infuse ourselves in any part of that equation. And so that is really what we're building to do. And I think here in the Big Bend, we have programs that address each one of those. We are looking to build more programs, work with even more partners. That is just truly what I believe. And I think that is why being with Children's Home Society here in the Big Bend, a community where I have lived since I was 5.5 years old and have never left, is truly a passion and a vision for me. It is what I do, and I don't imagine, it's going to be very hard for me to imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. And you know what I love about it is it's a holistic approach, Cecka, is from what I'm hearing you say, with how we take care of and raise children in our community.
Yes.
And it's not just, it's not a singular focus. When
Exactly.
You're talking about adopting all of these different partnerships that really help to bring up a child in the best environment. And what I hear, just you're receptive to a number of different partnerships and opportunities.
Absolutely.
That the human in the center of this problem solution dynamic that we're all in. I mean, because I look at the holistic approach when you're talking about that as like, you know, this is fantastic. You have people who are advocating for our elderly. You have people who are advocating for homelessness. You have people advocating for housing.
Mm-hmm.
All of these different approaches, all of them impact children as well as those different subsectors.
Right. And it all has to come together.
Yes.
So we are just now, as you mentioned, I used to be with Florida Housing Finance Corporation. Now housing advocates are beginning to get the empirical data that shows the correlation between stable, safe, and decent housing and child development. Because we know if a child is couch surfing because there's no affordable and decent housing for them, then how on earth are they supposed to be able to concentrate in school to get the basic skills they need to be able to move forward? I mentioned our community partnership school. So that is a huge partnership with Leon County Schools, with Sable Palm in particular as the school, with FSU Primary Health does our medical piece, and FAMU, College of Education, is helping to do some of our needs assessment pieces. So in a city, and I cannot emphasize this enough because it blew me away, in a city and county where you have what the state and the nation is saying is the poorest zip code in the state of Florida, and you have a poverty level that is higher than the state of Florida, but you have two institutions of higher learning, really three if you count Tallahassee Community College, and you could even go further than that because you've got St. Leo's out there and Flagler out there as well. And I know that they're doing other partnerships. When you have that going on, what that says to me is we are not valuing our future, and our future is our children. Period, point blank, end of sentence. And so we collaboratively have to say that if our children are important, we are going to look at how each of our organizations, no matter what it is, each of our organizations can pour into our kids with money, time, and talent. I can't emphasize it enough. And so that is very important to me. And I believe that, you know, when you've got Big Brothers, Big Sisters, you've got Brothers and Girls Club, you've got Distinguished Young Gentlemen, you've got the Delta Gems, you have the Pearls of Perfection, I don't know what the alpha's called. I mean, they're just so many. Civitan, all kinds of groups, Rotary, Kiwanis, you have all kinds of groups that are looking to make life better. And many of these groups are putting an emphasis on children, their development, their maturation, their education, and their training. And that is when we will really see a difference. When we look back, like I think about my mother talking about, you know, her growing up. You had a whole neighborhood. She couldn't do anything wrong because the whole neighborhood was involved in raising her. You know, it's a cliche, but it's true. It takes a village. And and so during this time of isolation, I think people will feel like their village has been disbanded. And so what we want people to know is that just because we're social distancing and isolating, it doesn't mean that the village has disbanded. And so we call on all of these organizations to say, yes, children are important, and we are going to figure out one way that we can impact children in our community.
And so, Cecka, if there's an organization, again, that's watching and they're interested in partnering with CHS, let's get some advice. Who do they contact? Who do they talk to?
So we hope that there are organizations out there that would like to partner with us in, like I said, time, talent, and money for sure. They can send me an email, and my email address is my name, Cecka, CECKA.green, like the color, at chsfl.org. I would be a great first step to do that. We have a team of wonderful leaders that are just looking for ways to have organizations and persons more involved with Children's Home Society and our programs. And so that's Cecka.green at chsfl.org. And if you feel like you need to talk with someone, you're feeling isolated, you're feeling like you just don't know where things are going, I encourage you to use our warm line for sure. And the number is there, 888-733-6303. And if you want to go on the website, you can do that at chsfl.org/support.
Excellent. Cecka, thank you so much again to represent a subsector of the nonprofits that really showing collaboration exists within the sector. And y'all are definitely a pillar and pivotal in how it's done right. So that's very exciting.
Thank you, Selena. I just appreciated being here. And I will tell you, we are just so proud of the work that INIE is doing, to see the support that you're giving to nonprofits in this community. It is awesome. So congratulations to you as well. And I look forward to working with you as we go into the future, whatever that looks like.
Whatever it looks like, yes, we will be ready, and we'll be ready together. That's the key
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes. Well, just to get to know you a little bit more before we let you go, Cecka, so, what's a favorite vacation spot for you?
Oh gosh, so I am a beach baby. I love water. And so Jamaica, for sure.
Oh,
For sure.
nice.
if I could get back there right now, I absolutely would. So that is my favorite vacation spot. Hmm.
Jamaica.
Yeah,
Love.
Jamaica, man.
All right. Well, we may just see you in Jamaica after this is all over with. I think a lot of people will be running to Jamaica.
You better believe it. Yes.
Well, Cecka, again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. We're so grateful to have you, not only in the Blue Sea, but also a member of INIE. Have a fantastic day. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you.